welcome back to Design Deconstructed, episode 12. We're going to start taking a look today at chapter 6, called The Future in Jade, which is one of the longest chapters in End of Dragons, consisting of 2 moderately sized open world sections and 2 story instances. Because of that, I'm doing this chapter in 2 parts so that I can give each of the pieces of this chapter the time that they deserve, and so that I can get into the kind of details which hopefully make these sessions valuable. This chapter was definitely one that we considered splitting into 2 chapters at some point. We had done something very similar in earlier chapters, but anytime you do something like that, it requires quite a lot of renaming and refactoring, not just for the design team, but for any teams that are also working closely with us in collaboration, whether it's audio or QA. So by the time we had a good read on the length of this chapter, it was kind of at the point where splitting it would have caused way more headaches than it was worth. So in the end, we decided to keep it 1 chapter. So without further ado, let's get more in depth with part 1 of The Future in Jade. Okay, here we go. We are back. We're going to start chapter 6, The Future in Jade. So we're going to load in to New Kaineng City here. There will be a dialogue that starts as soon as we get in here, so I'm going to keep quiet while that goes on, so you can hear the story. Because story is important.
Trin, you have some kind of history with that engineer?
Yao? No clue what their problem is.
Must be your agreeable personality.
When we worked together, they always came across as a bit possessive of June's attention.
Possessive? Well, excuse me if we didn't all get to be June's protege with 0 qualifications.
Yao! Sorry, I didn't know you could... I didn't mean,
If you're all gonna talk behind someone's back, try using a secure frequency.
Working on it.
Whatever. I've got more important things to deal with right now. The city's on fire. Literally.
Engineer Yao, we're pursuing the ones responsible for that. But it would help if we could investigate the city's power infrastructure.
You mentioned that. Well, if Mai's with you, I guess June trusts you. For whatever reason. A couple of boxes we need to check off to get you in the door. First of all, you're gonna need to talk to who? Lead plant engineer. Can probably get you a passcode. I think he's on a repair job. You're also gonna need to hit up the Jadebot service station. Get yourself certified. Might be able to meet you there, if I stop being a vital asset to the development of...
Service station. Anything else?
That should do the trick.
Consider it done.
Okay. That's a lengthy dialogue. We did have some back and forth about whether that was too long of a dialogue. But in the end, we were okay with the fact that, when you enter this map from the previous instance, our hope is that players will run around and explore and do stuff. And so we kind of figured that while they were doing that, now I knew where to go, so I made a beeline straight for where I was supposed to go. But other players will probably explore the docks a little bit. They'll go check out the Jade Monument. They'll do, various number of things. So hopefully that dialogue just kind of slots into the natural space where players are running around the map and finding cool things to look at and see and do, and yeah. So Engineer Who, just a little trivia note, was named for after the voice actor Kelly Hu. She is the voice of Su Wan and also the voice of Captain Mai Trin. I wanted to have her name represented in our NPC list just because she's an amazing actress. I've watched her in live action shows as well. She's done a number of roles that I'm a huge fan of. So I am a Kelly Hu fanboy. Have been for a long time. So I wanted to put her name in there somewhere. So here we have Engineer Who. Probably in hindsight, I made this a male character. I probably could have made it a female character, but I didn't want to be too on the nose either. So Engineer Who is a guy. This is an example of a open world story step where I think we did a lot in this chapter. Well, I tried to do a lot in this chapter to do a really good sort of sampling of open world content, to take you around and show you the map. And so, we directed players to this hero challenge so that they get this code from Engineer Who. Oh, thank you, mister. Oops. These hero challenges.
Passcode? Check.
Sorry.
Now you just need to head to the Jadebot service station. Get yourself up to industry standards. I'll explain when you get there.
Yeah, so these hero challenges. That one in particular was I designed that event. I wanted it to be fairly low stress. Again, there is plenty of excellent sort of challenging content in this map with the meta and various events with the Aether Blades, and so I kind of wanted to take players on a tour of the more relaxed side of Kaineng City because it can get pretty intense. So that was the vibe of this chapter for me. It was sort of like you're here, you're in this new place, it's a grand city, you're exploring. So I wanted to have players kind of take a little bit of an easy road through this story chapter and get a nice sense of the city. I take you by a bunch of different events. You can feel free to, hopefully players will stop and smell the roses and play some content. I am going to just focus specifically on the story stuff, just because that's the intention behind these videos, but hopefully players will not just go straight beeline through the way that I'm doing. So we're going to meet Yao over here. Yao was an interesting challenge because we discovered that one of the things about our visibility channels that is problematic is that we can put them here and players will have no problem, but we then have this, as I will show later, you can take over remote control of your Jade drone. And Jade drones have a very different way of looking at visibility channels. So we had to do some trickery and we had to get engineering involved. And I know they did some vital work with visibility and how Jade drones respond to visibility channels. And yes, I apologize. I am going to talk over some of the dialogue here, just because in the interest of time. This chapter ended up being one of our longest chapters. Oops. Oh, I can't even do that yet. Sorry. I have to go unlock my Jade bot. Wait a minute. I didn't put my Jade core in. That's me being dumb. Should probably do that. And while I'm here, I'll also install my mount energy booster, even though I don't have mounts yet. Alright, thank you. Okay. Anyway, as I was saying, yeah, because you can come over here and you can take control of your Jade bot and fly him around. I don't know. Sometimes Yao would reappear here when you got far enough away. I think we fixed those bugs, but you never know. Sometimes it's, yeah, looks like we did fix them all. Good. We also, one interesting note about the remote control Jade drone technology is that we actually did not launch with this enabled, because we had this in the game for some time, you know, for definitely a couple months at least before we locked everything down, and everything seemed great. We didn't see any bugs, we didn't have any problems. And then we went all the way down to what we call our stage server, which is our last server before things go live. and didn't have any problems, any issues. And then, um, because of the way our server architecture works, we're able to actually push our build live and allow QA to get in and test on live before everybody gets access. And so QA that morning that we were supposed to ship went live and started testing, and QA was crashing when they tried to use the Jade drone. And so we had a brief moment of panic as we were wondering what the heck to do. But because this is new tech, and we had been kind of warned by engineering that there may be perf costs or there may be technical things that we wouldn't see until we get on live, and that's what happened. So we had already actually built a backup where we could disable the Jade drone flying around, and instead when you interact with these things, you would get a Jade Tech rifle, and you would be able to use that to shoot these lanterns, because that's really what this Jade drone is supposed to do. You're supposed to be able to come up here and, you know, pull in a charge and then take the charge and light up the lanterns with the Jade drone. But without that ability, it kind of took away one of the things, and if that was not possible, that would have stalled the story step, except for the fact that we were able to author a alternative in the Jade rifle. So that's an example of how sometimes you have to plan for the worst. You hope for the best, but plan for the worst. And in that case, we actually had a contingency in place, so we were able to activate the contingency, and it did not delay our launch. We didn't have to do anything. We didn't have to, you know, arrange a hot fix or anything like that right away, because having the contingency in place allowed engineering the time that they needed to actually debug what was going on, why it was not working on live when it was working perfectly in our development environment. And they were able to find the issue, and I think we patched that out on the second or third day, where we were able to re-enable Jade drones. Anyway, I am getting completely out of order here, so I'm going to drop out of my Jade drone mode and go talk to Elora.
Welcome to the first Garden of Enlightened Thought. Blah, blah, blah. This place is a little bougie, eh? You a friend of Yao's?
Alright, I'm not going to do the optional conversations with Yao, or not with Yao, sorry, with Elora. I can handle it from here. So here we have an example where we are asking players to basically go around and learn how to use their Jade Tech devices. So draw power from batteries. This is, again, all very basic. This is, you know, supposed to be more like a tutorial. Go through the teleporters. These are simply point-to-point teleporters, as the other ones usually have a a conversation pop-up that then allows you to pick your destination. But those are just demo models, so you only go one place. Ride the zip lines. I think I would know this by the time. Alright. I will say these zip lines are super fun. I was really glad we got these in as part of the Jade Tech Mastery. Okay, what's next? Oh, the lanterns. Now I can do the drone flight. I'll grab some more charges for my battery, for my drone. Oh, that's right. I have to upgrade the mastery so I can carry more than 2. Oh yeah, I don't know how many players found or care about this stuff. I don't know. We had a lot of fun writing these little scenes where these people would come in, as Alora sits, this area is a little bit bougie. And I'm sure a few people in recent years have encountered people who are a bit rude to other people, especially people who they see as lower, in status than them. I missed the scene here, but they would have a scene where, they call out, and annoy people around the garden. They're supposed to move and do this more than once, but I don't know. Maybe I have to take a look at that when we get back from break. But you can call them out and be like, hey, don't be such an annoyance, and they will run away. It's just a little fun thing. Yeah, if you have a moment, I definitely recommend going around and listening to some of those agitators. They have some great lines.
Experience the might of Jade.
There's people who are, messing with Jade tech because they're like, I don't know, afraid of change. Other people who are complaining about the gardeners not doing their jobs, just being, for lack of a better word, jerks. I was going to use something stronger, but I should probably not be as rude on this stream. Okay, sorry. I'm having a day today, aren't I? I'll take this new map. Sure. Okay, I gotta use the Jade drone now. Oh, except now I've lost my charges because I did that. I'm fun. Another thing you may have noticed is because of the Jade drone's awesome ability to basically fly anywhere you want, I had to put in some restrictions. Believe me, no game designer likes to do this, but this is new tech again, right? And I don't know how I don't know how feasible it would be to have every player be able to just fly around the map willy-nilly. So it's something that we're going to take a look at, whether this is something that we can do a little bit more broadly than we currently do, because it is fun flying the Jade drone around. Especially, I will say, if you haven't tried this yet, toggle Action Cam, because Action Cam definitely makes flying this thing a whole lot cooler and smoother. Alright, so charge that up. Charge that up. Oops. Oh. Did I only have one charge? I guess I only had one charge. More batteries. Okay. One of the other things design-wise that we had to do for the Jade drones was to make it so that you can't interact with certain things when you're in drone mode because it would break the game horribly. So if you notice, there's these panels which normally you can interact with and like reprogram, but we use a system of buffs that because of the way that Jade drones are authored or created, they don't always work nicely. We were able to get the power chargers to work nicely, but not every buff. The system for creating those things was built well before we had any inkling of what the Jade drone was, and so you always have to work on making sure that new tech that you build does not run afoul of limitations from older tech. So we had to make it so that you can only interact with certain objects, and other objects are just disqualified from interacts, so that you can protect the game and not kill the servers and make everybody happy. Alright, so drop out of... Oh, and now I gotta fight one of the training mechs. Hey, stop messing with that, buddy. I'm just gonna do beginner here. One of the things that was interesting about this was initially these mechs were just always here, and you could just talk to them and fight. And I ran into any number of issues with that, and I ended up having to basically create events that spin up when you choose to spar, and then these mechs will spawn in when the event starts. This is one of those things where, like, no matter how many times I tested this locally on my machine when I was developing it, I couldn't get it to break. And then I would go play this game in the build, and those events would be broken, or the mechs would be broken, and I wouldn't be able to fight them, or they would be hanging out after you defeated them, and they were supposed to spawn away, and there's all kinds of craziness.
Sorry if I did anything to... You're an amazing engineer. Self-taught, right? I can't even comprehend how you could pull that off.
I am, yes.
If June saw anything in me, she probably thinks the world of you. Just bad at saying it.
Apology acknowledged.
Just a friendly reminder that this is still an open frequency.
I know!
Okay. Heading to the power plant. Hey, Jade Tech test. Whee! All right. So we are now in the Jade power plant.
This facility's under lockdown. I'll have to ask you to... What's she doing here?
Why wouldn't I be?
I just assumed you'd be busy cavorting with your gang of vicious sky pirates.
Wow, that got around fast.
It's called Hollow News. Travels at the speed of light.
Okay, look. We actually have permission to be here. Engineer Who should have already sent word.
Is that so? Huh. So it is. We'll be keeping an eye on you, rest assured. Welcome to the Junlai power plant.
Alright, let's take a look around. Remember, it's not just sabotage we're looking for.
I thought that's exactly what we were looking for.
Commander's right. Whatever happened to Yao's bots by the docks, it wasn't sabotage.
I think it might have something to do with Detective Rama and his big dumb hat. You hear that, Rama? I just accused your hat of high treason. What do you have to say about that? It worked. Commander, I am pleased to say I have officially encrypted our comms network. Next on my list, boosting our signal range to continental Tyria.
Glad to hear it. So, do you really know why Jade Tech is turning on everyone? Or were you just testing the comms?
Only theories, but there's one thing they all have in common. Their power source.
We'll head up to the control room. See what we can dig up.
Okay. Lots of dialogue again. Yeah, I was coming over here because I wanted to talk a little bit about how we had this sort of dual purpose design challenge of this is the sorry for spoilers. Hopefully you all are aware that I'm going to spoil the story and other things in this stream series. This is the boss for this area, for the Kaineng City meta. We did not want to spoil that fight by having you fight it here, because we wanted to have, the impact that it does at the end of the meta. But we also want it to be the case that, you have a little bit of a tease. So we put this together where it's being, it's in maintenance mode, basically. It's powered down and it's getting serviced, to show that, yeah, this is something that you will likely face in this room at some point in the future. But we didn't want to have like a story version of this boss fight, because chronologically it would have been weird, because the Kaineng City meta, I think is sort of like time stamped for after you've done some of this stuff. So yeah. But I had all kinds of fun putting, like engineers on sleds here, and turning on all these different devices, which, as we'll see in a minute, will all go out when the power goes down. I had fun hiding some subversive sort of book defs and text hidden around the level for players to explore and get a little bit of a different angle on the people who work at Untitled Jade, and the situation at the company. We had some interesting things when you deal with Cantha being somewhat in not quite present day in terms of like our world, but it's definitely further along than Corteria. You can have things like corporations and some of the things that come with corporations, and some of the different sort of ways of thinking about capitalism and its place in society, and how things work. I had a lot of fun getting this elevator to work. That was fun. I'll talk about that in a second, though. All right, so we're going to come up here and listen as Mai explains the network.
Distribution network. Jade comes in from the east, gets charged up, then ends up here.
Where's it getting charged? If there's an issue with the power source, that's where we should start.
June is awfully cagey about that step. Keeps bringing up proprietary Junlai technology. Ugh, very dissatisfying.
Still, if this is the next step in the chain, there might be something useful here.
Look around. There must be some sort of scanning device the staff use to get energy readings.
Okay, I'm going to grab this journal, complete that achievement.
Found one. Looks like it's tuned to the Jade batteries.
We use those for quality control, yeah. Should get us all the readings we'll need.
I had a lot of fun with this scanner. This scanner went through probably about 4 different iterations before I settled on this one, where you fire it like a pistol. I don't know. Like, again, because our game is so combat oriented, we have a long list of animations for each player race that is, like, this is basically firing a pistol animation. Is it necessarily the best way to go about scanning things? Probably not. But it's what we have to work with sometimes. All right, so let's talk about this elevator. This elevator is fun in the sense that if you notice that as I get off of it, the NPCs kind of go back to following me, and then as I get on it, they'll take up spots at the elevator, because it's tricky, like how to get NPCs onto what is, basically a moving platform. They're not as elegant getting on and off. As you can see, they kind of snap to sometimes. It's not a perfect system, but it is nice to be able to, get on, and if you ride it up, they're on it with you. I also make it so you can't fall off, because some elevators you can fall off, but I don't know. I didn't like that. So in my content, when I put elevators in, I make it so you can't fall off. It's just one of those, again, to me, that's just a mindful thing. I know some players will be completely fine with, dropping off the edge, but I don't know. Why give the player opportunities to hurt themselves if you don't have to?
Readings coming in now. We'll need a few different sets before I can run any tests. The power cell structure, though, how the energy's managed, alchemy. It is staggeringly brilliant.
Yeah, she is.
One thing that we ran out of scope on that I really wanted to do, but it quickly got exponential, was being able to go and scan random things and have it, respond to the fact that, oh, that's not it, or, scanning a person, they'd be like, oh, what are you doing? But again, the number of things that you could scan in this room just ballooned quickly out of scope. So I was like, you know what? Okay, we'll just have to deal with the fact that, nobody responds to the fact that you're basically shooting them with a scanning gun. Here is my homage to the classic arcade game Frogger. So if you're familiar with Frogger, there's a top section, there's a bottom section and a top section. The bottom section is you have to cross the road and not get hit and squished by cars passing by. And the second one is you have to jump from log to log, which is basically what this is, jumping from sled to sled. It's interesting. This is one of those things too where I got a number of competing feedback notes. Some people who said this was too easy, and a lot of people who said this was too hard and I should slow these things down. I try to tune it to be somewhat balanced so that different players of different skill levels would be able to do this. It is tricky. You basically have to try to jump on these sections without the railings because the railings will definitely mess you up. And so it requires patient timing is really what it comes down to, and which is the same with Frogger. Frogger, you would have to often, and in Frogger's case, you would have to kind of jump back and forth because sometimes, in this case, these things don't go off the side of the screen, so you'll never fall. But you can fall in the water, and if you do fall in the water, you can lose your scanner, which will negate the achievement that I gave you for, and I cleverly named it Ribbit.
Okay, everything's coming in loud and, well, not loud, but
so yeah.
definitely clear.
But this was a fun achievement to work on.
What is... I don't... Hang on.
It's one of those little bits of gameplay that, I don't know, turn an ordinary thing like go scan a set of batteries and add a wrinkle to it.
I can't tell you until I know for certain because my hypothesis is frankly outrageous. It's entirely possible I'm wrong.
Are you?
Oh, yay.
No.
100 points! Woohoo!
We'll get you that scan as soon as possible.
Yeah, this is obviously a low newbie character.
Tiny, right?
Yeah?
Is June around?
While we're heading over here.
Oh, well,
We also got a new standard for this expansion, which I really like, which is being able to stow certain bundles. So in this case, because you're going to want to have the scanner available, and I mean, you can always go pick up a new one, of course, but now you can actually just say, hey, I'm going to stow it, and now it just gets stored on you, basically, using some design buffs and hacks, which is how we do most of everything in our game. We've gotten more tools in our toolbox over the years, but we still rely heavily on buffs.
This'll probably take a little longer now.
Timey, power just went out here. Scans are on hold until we can get it back up.
Poor Spike. Seen a lot of these lately. You'll need to find the junction boxes and reset them manually.
Easy enough. We'll just... Jade Sparks! At least this time there aren't any mechs nearby for them to possess.
I am getting all the newbie achievements. So I was going to talk here a little bit about pacing, because we definitely had this need, or this desire, actually, to have some cool interactions between Marjorie and Maitreyan that gives them some more character growth, and, you know, kind of shows that Jory is softening to Mai a little bit, that, you know, Mai is really showing genuine contrition for her actions, and really wants to do better. And Jory is seeing that, you know, firsthand, that, you know, she really does seem to want to do stuff to better their situation and help the team. So, you know, Jory can't help but realize that, oh, well, maybe I, you know, yes, I still don't like her, but she definitely seems to be trying to be a better person. But it was kind of tough, like, where do you put that? And so our solution here, we initially just had this really long dialogue that happened the minute you got up and the, you know, the power went out, and it just never felt right. And so we ended up breaking it up into 3 distinct dialogues instead, and rewrote a couple of lines so that it felt like bookended, you know, so that there was a start and finish to each section, and then put it in the space after combat was done, because we weren't concerned so much if you're doing the puzzle and they're having a conversation, but it definitely didn't work to have them having this sort of heart-to-heart talk a little bit while you were in the process of killing these Jade Sparks. Wow. Alright, so these basically pick a random symbol each time. Rarely does it pick 4 of the same symbol in a row, but that's, again, random number generation. Sometimes that happens. Oh, there's one hiding back here.
These J-Tech malfunctions, I have to say, not really Anka's style.
She has a style.
Well, Scarlet inspired a lot of
okay.
people.
This is weird.
She inspired me. I know you think she's
A goddamn murderer.
a bit eccentric,
I think this might be
but
broken.
She stood up to Mordred the only way she knew how.
Interesting. Yeah, I think this puzzle is broken. It does not seem to be picking a random symbol anymore. Well, that's good to see. I will make a note of that to report that bug on Monday. Well, I guess it'll be super easy. I won't have to get my Simon skills in line, because it looks like it's all going to be X all the time. I don't know. We'll see. If it's 3 in a row, I mean, I suppose it's possible that random number generation could result in two examples of that, but I mean, the odds would be pretty high. So if it's 3, then we definitely know it's broken. Oh no, Sunlight Jade security. I will never get tired of seeing Jory's awesome Reaper and Necro skills now. It's so refreshing. After seeing her swing her sword randomly for so long. I mean, really, I mean, because she had, right? That went all the way back to season 2 when she got that sword. And that was sort of a tease of the coming elite specs in Heart of Thorns. So she's been using a greatsword for all that time and had never actually been using Reaper abilities.
What? Just ignore me.
I guess she's just maybe a slow learner, or she just didn't prioritize changing her build. I don't know. Uh-oh. Yeah. This is clearly broke. Oh, no, it's not. That's weird. Okay.
You said that. I can't change who I was, but I won't give up on who I want to be.
And who, pray tell, is that?
I don't know. Someone better.
Everything's back on. Woo! Literally. I gotta tell you, one of my funnest afternoons working on this expansion was having to individually put a gadget on every single one of these panels. Every single panel had to go out. Yeah, so each of those has a gadget that responds to the power outage trigger, and when the power goes out, they turn off, and when the power comes back, they turn back on. But yeah, every screen, every doohickey, it was a lot of gadgets. Probably more than I think we've ever done in an instance. But you gotta, that's authenticity right there.
Commander just scanned the last battery, Timey. What do you got?
I've cross-referenced the waveform of Jade power with every other energy waveform I have in my record. First I checked conventional sources, Magitech, leyline power, usual suspects. No exact matches. The closest thing I've been able to find is, well, Aureen's. It's not perfect, but it is within the margin of error.
Aureen? But she's been with us. She's only been here for... Even if it's true, how is that possible?
Aureen's energy signature isn't Aureen. It's the result of filtering impure dragon magic.
So wait, you're saying that all this Jade tech is powered by dragon magic?
That's what the data suggests. Maybe June found a way to extract it from ley lines after Aureen filters it?
That's not possible. June's been using this technology for years.
Commander, you should go to the other lab. I'll fill in Gorik on the way. One thing's for sure, though.
Yeah. This just got a whole lot more complicated.
Okay. Instance complete. I may, as I said at the top of the hour, top of this session, this is going to be part 1 because we are almost at 40 something minutes, and this is a long chapter, so I will do the next part in part 2. Hopefully by the end of next week that should be up and available. And yeah, I don't think there's anything else that I need to or want to say about this story instance. So yeah, cool. I will be back with part 2 very shortly, and enjoy.